In this video, I'm going to talk about the example 2, which is in Lab 1 of CIS18A. In this example, we are using variable, and a variable is an identifier that we can create, which is a location of the memory where it's going to store specific value. And Java requires that we use data type for our variable. So in example 2, in the lab, what we're creating here is we start off with the comment for our program. And in this block comment, we would start with the slash and the asterisk. And we want to indicate what our program is about. We would make note of how we would call this program. So here we would call it example 2. And you notice again, like we talked about in the last video, that example 2 is matching with the class name exactly. After you have created the comment block, then you would go down and have your class. Here we have class example 2. We would start the class with the curly brace. And following the class, we would have the main function, public static void main, string args. And in here, what we would have is we would have the integer is the data type for my first variable, my var1. And when you create a variable, you can name it anything you want, but you need to start with the letter, upper or lowercase. You can also use number. You're limited to specific symbol you can use, so you don't want to start out your variable with symbol. In some exceptional cases, you're allowed to start out with underscore, but by practice, we want to use upper lowercase letter and numbers. So to declare the variable, we would specify the data type, which is integer, and our variable name, myvar1. And we would finish that out with a semicolon. So here I added the comment, this declares the variable myvar1. And in the next line, I have another variable. It's going to hold integer, and this is myvar2. And again, you want to finish that with a semicolon after you include the variable name. So in this program, what we also want to do is we are going to assign a value to the first variable, myvar1. And in this case, we have 1024 is assigned to this variable, meaning that myvar1 contains the number, whole number integer 1024, and finish that out with a semicolon. So this gives you the assignment of 1024 to myvar1. In the next line, we would have it print or display output myvar1 contains in string, that's in the double quotation mark, and here we would use the operator plus sign here to include the value from myvar1, which is 1024, in the output. So for this line, it's going to output myvar1 contains 1024. And again, when we finish the statement, make sure that you have the semicolon. For the next line, we have myvar2, which is the second variable, and it is myvar1 divided by 2. So here we use the division operator to specify that we would take myvar1 divided by 2 to equal myvar2. Then next, we would output myvar2 contains myvar1 divided by 2 in string. And then in following, we would bring down the calculated value, which is myvar2, 1 divided by 2, which is myvar2. So it will take 1024 divided by 2 and plug that into here for this statement as output. We finish that out with a semicolon. We close out our curly brace, to finish that code block, and we would close out another curly brace for our class. So after you have written this program, you would need to go to File, Save As, and here what we can do is we can point to the location. So in the lab I instructed to put it on desktop, but if you have a folder you can put it there. Just remember to navigate to that folder to find your file when you compile. So we want to name this file example2.java, all file types, and click Save. I had previously created one, so I'm going to save it over, the old one. After you save your file to the location where you could find it, then you would go ahead and open up Command Prompt. So we would go to our search, type in CMD, and we would first navigate to our desktop, so CD desktop, and if you had stored in a specific folder on your computer, you need to change directory, which is CD, and the folder name. Press enter, and here we would issue the command javac space example2.java to compile. So at this point we are compiling Java 2. Now if it doesn't throw any error, that means that we're successful in compiling the program. If it catches the error, you need to look at the error message and go to the line that's indicated that contains the error to fix the syntax. After we compile, then we would go ahead and type in Java command and example2. As we talked about in the last video, we don't need the file extension after we compile. And here it shows me the output for the print line in string. My var1 contains 1024, and I could include the space there to fix that issue. And then my var2 contains my var1 divided by 2, which is 512, and that completes my program.